I've heard a lot of people, complain about buying a property, whether land or house, and then coming to see the property and they're not happy about it. So you could say people end up, being dissatisfied when they pay for a property and then coming to see, they probably don't like one or two things about it. And that is why we have this conversation now ongoing. Now, let me take you through a guide on how to buy a home or how to buy your first property, your first land. It could be your first home, house, as it is called over here. So let's look at those common things you need to consider before you pay for that first property of yours, that second property of yours, whatever the number is. Number one, location. Location. Now, this is a very common factor to consider when you're considering buying a property, whether a land or a home, a full structure, a house, that duplex, bungalow, location. Now, the first question you want to ask yourself, where do you want your first home to be situated? Where do you want your dream home to be situated? Do you want it to be in a remote location, where there's a lot of quiet and greenery? You could say your villa, or some people say country home. Do you want it to be in a country home? Do you want it to be in a city center? Now, what type of city center? Is it any state within the country, the capital of any state within the country, or you're very specific about a particular state capital? Okay, so you need to ask yourself this question. So, what is my, what is drawing me to this particular location? Is it business? Is it pleasure? You see? So these questions are very important. If you can check these boxes, it will help you to get the best of location. Now, what are the things that I need in this location? Do I need access to a library? Do I need access to an entertainment center? Do I need access to a government facility? Do I need access to the airport? Do I need access to a waterfront? And all of that. So if you check these boxes, you will just be on your way to having one of the best property in a good location. So location, I know a lot of people, especially Nigerians and diaspora, want to have a home in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Enugu, Anambra, Imo, Kano, name them. Yes, you want to have a property in this location because you think they represent probably the popular regions or the major regions of the country, right? Yeah. Now, for people who are considering Lagos, you also want to think through what part of Lagos do I want to have my dream home? Do I want it in the mainland that is known to be, the Lagos, or do I want it in the island that is known to be, the life of the party? And even right inside the Lagos island, you also want to consider what part of the island. Do I want the quiet part, the emerging city area part of the island, or do I want to be in the center of the noise? I've seen people say, oh, their favorite location for owning their dream home is Lekki. Lekki is very popular. If you don't know Lekki, I don't know where else you know in the world or Africa, okay? If you don't know Lekki, then it means you're missing out. So a lot of people will say, oh, I want to live in Lekki. I want to have a home in Lekki because Lekki is very popular. Lekki is like where you have the richest, categories of Nigerian millionaires, the large pond or large pool of Nigerian billionaires too, captains of industry. It is a center of entertainment in Africa or Nigeria. Yes, so a lot of people want to have a property in Lekki for that reason and that reason alone. So you also want to consider what part of Lekki because Lekki itself is a long stretch. We have the Lekki Phase 1 all the way from Oniru, Legushi axis to Ikate, downwards to where you have VGC, that is the Kota Villa and its environs. You also have Lekki all the way to Ibeju Lekki. Yeah, so a lot of people make fun of the fact that when people say, oh, I'm moving to Lekki and they end up in Ibeju Lekki. Now, the good thing is this, Lekki is Lekki, okay? Lekki is a very long stretch. So you need to be very specific on the part of Lekki that you want to have your country home, your dream home, or your first home. Now, talking about Lekki, now I want to quantify Lekki as a location to be the human system. So when you are saying that you want a home in the Lagos Island, the Lekki part of the Lagos Island, you need to quantify or categorize the location like the human, the body system from the head to the toe. So if you want Lekki phase one, be specific. I want a property in Lekki phase one, which is the head of Lekki. If you want downward to Agungi and so on, it means you're talking about the neck down to the chest. If you want the chevron axis downward to where you have the Orchid Hotel Road, where you have the Eleganza, you have the Lekki second toll gate. You're talking about the stomach area. If you want VGC, you're looking at the waist. If you want Abramadesaya down to Ajah to Abramadesaya, you're talking about areas, downward the waist and so on. So you need to be very specific on what part of Lekki that you want to have your home, because Lekki is a very long stretch. Now, all of these areas comes with their peculiarities in terms of lifestyle and all of that. Then for the Ibejuleki axis, Ibejuleki practically starts from somewhere in Abijo. Yes, if I'm not mistaken, after Shangotedo, you have Abijo. Then from Abijo downwards, it's Ibejuleki. Okay, all to the Dangote refinery, and then at the Eleko area, you now have a second division. Okay, people going to the right towards the refinery and the beachfront, and then those going towards the left straight downwards to Ekpe. So that is why you have it as the Lekki Ekpe Expressway. Now, why are people going down to Ekpe? Why are people going down to Lekki? This is seen to be the new Lagos, right? So having a property within the new Lagos means you have the opportunity of buying a property or owning the property at an affordable rate, and at the point where the new Lagos begins to live the dream, right? Your property will worth more and probably be well positioned, like what we've seen in Ikoyi, Victoria Island, and so on. Now, of course, I want to have another conversation on location, but for this particular conversation, I'm going to leave it very brief. So it's important for you to understand where you want to have your home and why you want to have your home in areas like this, whether the Lagos mainland, the island, or any of the happening state capitals in Nigeria. So it's important that you look out for reasons why. Do you want to live near family? Do you want to live near friends? Do you want to live near areas where you can have access to captains of industries, entertainers, where you can have access to certain infrastructures or certain access to people, right? So a lot of people live in the Lagos Island for access. They live in specific areas in the mainland too for access. Okay, so you have to answer that question: why should it be this location, and what location will best suit me? Okay, a little research will help you have a good answer and a good choice for location as a consideration. Now let's go to number two. Number two on my list is proximity to lifestyle and support infrastructure. Yes, you want to own your first home, you want to own your first property. Yes, you have to look at that part. Do you want to have a property? Let's say it's your first property where you're going to live in or where you want to make so much money from, right? So you have to consider the proximity to lifestyle, right? I've seen people who rather want to buy a property that is very expensive or pricey in a choice location, because of the benefit. They want it now, right? They want the property by the roadside. They want it in the point where you have the noise, where the hustling and bustling is. Now, using Lagos as a case study, you will find out that there are people who are very, comfortable living in a place like Ikeja. Okay, now why would they want to live in Ikeja? Ikeja is a beautiful city capital of Lagos, and it is a seat of power, the seat of authority. So for some persons, living in that area gives them access to direct government infrastructures that are workable and active, because there's presence of governance. Okay, you have light, you have water, and then the accessible roads and all of that, access to government facilities and all of that. So that could just be the reason why they want to have a property in Ikeja. Already Ikeja it's a bustling city area. So having a property in Ikeja is definitely going to be heavily priced, right? Yes, and there are people who want that. So people may want to choose to live in specific areas because they already have support infrastructure. There's road, there's light. You're not saying, oh, there's going to be road in the next 2 years. There's going to be road in the next 5 years. There's going to be an airport in the next 15 years. There's already an airport in the city area. So you see, so you have to look at the infrastructure, you have to look at the support system. Now, if you're an entertainment kind of person, you love to club, you love to party, you love to have fun, and you want to be in the area where you have the upper echelon of the society, in Lagos specifically, then you also want to consider a place like Ikoyi, like Victoria Island, the Banana Island axis, Lekki Phase 1, and its environment. But that is where you have the lifestyle, okay? You want the noise as a young person, as a young family. You want the noise as a business mind who wants to, think about creativity you can sell to the rich and wealthy. Then you just want to have that property in this location, okay? So your ticking this box has to do with proximity to lifestyle and infrastructure. You want a place where you can easily access governance, you can easily access government, you can easily access politicians, you can easily access wealthy people, entertainers, name them, the celebrities. You want to easily attend events when they pop up. When you go to a certain event platform, and then you're looking out for good events that you could attend on Saturday or Friday, weekdays, and so on. These events will definitely be situated within this axis, okay, that is built around the upper echelon of the society, okay. So you want to leave, or you want to consider that your property should be the location that has easy access to lifestyle. Now, what does that do for your property? One, it gives your property more leverage in terms of property value. Yes, because properties that are situated around city areas that has easy access to lifestyle, okay, yes, of course, they are well priced. So if you want to buy a land in areas like this, you should know for sure that you're not going to be getting anything less than X amount of money. For sure, we know that property in around the Chevron axis upward to Lekki Phase 1, VI, and so on goes for nothing less than 200 million naira. Yes. So that is the value of properties within this area, because they are very well close to lifestyle and access to infrastructure and support system that makes the whole living experience fun, right? Now, despite this, it could not be the yes or yes for everybody. There are people who also want to have a less noisy environment. Yes, I've seen people who say, oh, Lekki is noisy, and moving downwards to probably Aja or Shangotedo or Abijo or Awoyaya, Eleko, even Ekpe. Yes, you have people who are moving down towards this area because they have less noise, they're more quiet, they're more calm, there's still more green, there's still more reservation, and the hustling and bustling is yet to get to certain areas of this city area. So it's important to look out for the lifestyle. Yes, if you're somebody who is about the life of the party, then you just want to have your property situated where you have easy access to all of these things that will make your life interesting. And of course, it comes with the money peg. Yes, so the more situated it is, the more pricey it will be. Okay, so watch out for number three. Number three on our list is the off-plan and finished development, trend. There's been this trend in the Lagos real estate space, for the last 10 years, off-plan development. Yes, I know a lot of persons may have very ugly experience in the past, but I can tell you that a lot of experiences now have happy endings. Yes, because there are tons of developers who have learned from the mistakes of the past and who are doing better. And even those who were there in the past, they have not, they've now mastered the art of doing things much better. Now, what is this thing about off-plan development? So let's say you're new into buying properties and probably you want to buy your first home, and then somebody is telling you about a realtor or a developer is telling you about an off-plan project somewhere. Now, what is this off-plan all about? An off-plan project is a project that is sold to you when the design concept is still on the paper, right? Probably the developer just have the land, and then the concept is still on the drawing, and in no time, probably with your commitment or the investment from the developer, they can get the project ongoing. They can hit the ground and then get a project onward. So an off-plan project is like you're buying a proposed project, you're buying a proposed home. Now, what does that do for you as a beginner? Buying an off plan, it's a good way of exploring and learning more about the real estate space and the real estate, development space. It gives you an opportunity to be part of the project. Yes, I've seen a lot of people who have bought into off plan projects and then they are part of the process. You could ask the developer and make some early requests. From that early stage, you could make certain requests and you could tweak some of the designs in your own apartment, in your own terrace or duplex. So Offplan gives you that advantage to be part of the process. Because you can actually advise, you can actually, ask for certain materials or certain elements to be used in your unit. And of course, if it goes beyond the deliverables that have been stipulated for your budget, the budget for that project, you have to augment, payments. Yes, so I've seen people who have said, okay, you know what, in my unit, I don't want it to be a closed kitchen. I want to have an open kitchen, right? So you could make those adjustments because the structure is still under development. Yeah. Now, another good thing about off-plan development is that it gives you access to spread payment, right? So you could make payment and monitor the development of your unit. As you see progress, you release money. Okay. So you can decide to, secure yourself in a way. So probably pull out if you're not getting value for your money, or one or two things. But it has a way of helping you, to follow up with the project and then knowing what you're doing or what value you're getting in the project. Then in terms of payments, it gives you this flexibility to pay, what we call PSS, pay small, small, where you get to pay, make an initial deposit, and then you spread your payment for a period of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Now, for some building projects, at the inception of the project, you could get up to 18 or 24 months payment plan. Yes, I've witnessed projects where clients have to pay 24 months, 18 months, and so on. But as they progress in the project, you only get this kind of deal when they are just hitting the ground, you know. So once the project has commenced, and for each stage of development that they achieve, they reduce those privileges. Okay, so it could get up to a point where you're being asked to pay 50% down payment. Okay, but on inception, you could just do 5%, 10%, 20%. Less than 20% can get you going. But as they progress, you begin to increase down payment to 30%, 40%, 50%. At some point, you do 50% and then you spread balance in 3 months. It could be 50% to pay in 6 months. Yes, if you're lucky and you get very early in the project as an early bird, you could get 20% to pay for up to 12 months and so on. So it gives you the flexibility. Let's say you need a home for 70 million, and you don't have 70 million in bulk, cash down, but you have the means. And over time, you're sure and certain that you can get that payment within a period of, let's say, 12 months or 18 months. Yeah, but you have the initial deposit, which is like 10%. 10% of 70 million is about 7 million. Now, even if you're asking for 20%, which is 14 million, you could, make that payment. You could make 10% first, to get the ground going, to subscribe into the deal, and then you spread your payment. You within 10 months, depends on how you're dividing it. Okay, you should be done with the payment. You could also do for 12 months. Depends on the arrangement between you and the developer, or what the developer have designed for the project in terms of the commercials, right? Yeah, so you have those benefits when you're buying off plan. Yes, off plan is risky in so many ways, but it comes with lots of benefits, right? It comes with lots of benefits. Sometimes you get to buy this property less the value, the market value, yes. So if you could have a property in a location where the same property sells for, let's say, 100 million, you could get it for 50 million on inception, or as an early bird investor. Yes, practically, I've been a witness to this. I've been in the industry, so I've seen this, right? Well, we had a project about 2 years ago that sold for 42 million naira. As I speak to you now, the project is completed, okay, completed, but going for over 110 million or so. Yeah, in Ikate. And we have lots of those kind of projects that has happened like that, where investors have to make, an investment of 40 million, 42 million, 50 million. I'm not sure you're going to get that kind of deal anymore, right? Yeah, so we're talking about 2 years ago. But for 40, imagine buying a property for 45 million as an off-plan project when it was still on the paper design and the 3D design, and then on completion in 24 months. Okay, in 24 months, and then it could be less, it could be more. You're getting the value of over 100 million naira. So that's another benefit of buying an off-plan project. You could buy for less the market value, and upon completion, your project could just be worth even more than what finished projects in that area is going for. Now, for finished projects, if you are buying a home that is already completed, then you're expected to pay in full. Some developers may be lenient enough to say, you know what, pay 50% and then balance up in a month's time, right? Or 2 months' time, 3 months' time, depend on the deal that you get. But at most, majority of the finished projects will come as a full payment deal, right? So, in considering factors that will help you, getting a good home or seamlessly, you also have to factor in which is best for me, which one would I want to go for. Now, one of the thin line between off-plan projects and finished projects is that for off-plan you have to wait. Yes, the waiting can be long sometimes, right? Especially when it has to do with apartments or terraces that are long and all of that. But for finished products, you could get your key in less than 24 or 48 hours. So this is just a thin line. For off plan, you have to plan. Okay, let's say I'm not ready to move into my home now, but because I don't have all the cash down. Okay, but with my payment plan, I'm sure that if I finish paying in 12 months time, my property could be ready in 16 months time or 18 months time. Now that is the kind of mindset you should use if you're going for an off plan, unless it is a single unit project. Let's say a bungalow. Of course, a bungalow you could be done in 6 months time. Then it is a fully detached duplex, okay, barring every encumbrances and all of that. In less than 8 months, if the finance is there, in less than 8 months, you could have your fully detached duplex standing and ready. But for multiple units, okay, of apartments, of terraces, duplexes, estates, and all of that, it could take 24 months. I've seen an estate deliver in about 8 months, over 500 units. Yes, over 500 units delivered in 8 months. And that has to do with the capacity of the developer having people live in their houses in less than a year. Yes, that was post COVID. So these are the thin line, the things you look out for. So if you are going for an off plan, you should have the mindset of patience. You have to be patient with your developer, or else you're going to be fighting with a lot of people. Yeah, but I can tell you, I've seen a lot of crazy experience within the off-land space, but there are lots of success stories, right? Yeah, so you just have to do your due diligence to get the best developer or the best builder to get you a great off-plan deal. But for finished deals, you take it as you see it, okay? You have no participation in any of the process. You just buy the way it is, and then you can make your adjustment after you are paid completely or paid in full. Number four on my list is a payment plan. Yes, when I talked about the off plan and then the fully completed project, I mentioned a bit of the payment plan, but you need to give a good attention to a payment plan, right? You want a home in Lagos or any part of Nigeria, you want a deal, right? Especially in a time where you don't have people carrying cash around as they used to. So you're probably considering your constraints, your financial constraints, access to bulk sum and all of that. So buying your first property must be cash down. You could plan, you could have good plan for that, right? And that is why payment plan is a factor. You have to consider how am I going to buy this property, right? Like I always give sense to, or I always advise investors or persons who are looking at buying properties and they say, oh, I don't have 100 million to buy a property. I don't have 700 million to buy a property. I don't have 50 million. I don't have 25 million. But the question is, what do you have? Once you have a cash flow, Okay, let's say you have a job or you have a business that gives you money, income on a monthly, weekly basis or yearly basis. So you have to factor that into your plan. If you have the capacity to buy in full, please do so, right? And one of the benefits of paying in full for a property is that you get the property, okay? You tidy up early enough everything that has to do with ownership. And then you save yourself extra money. You save yourself, those interest rates that will be paid when you subscribe into a payment plan, right? So full payments, gets you the property off the market. You owe no one. You now have the property to yourself, and you can proceed to do what you want to do, right? Then for the payment plan, if you have constraints in terms of gathering lump or huge sums of money to make that investment, then you just want to subscribe to a property that gives you that payment plan, thing. So what I've seen a lot of investors do is that the first thing they want to find out or ask about a property is, does it have a payment plan? And when you say yes, then it falls within their consideration, for a property that they want to buy. Yeah, because if the property has a payment plan, it then makes it easier for them to invest into the property by making a deposit and then spread their balance, over time. Now, the caveat there is that when you're doing payment plan or what we call PSS, pay small small, it comes with an interest. Yes, it comes with an interest. But probably in a subsequent video or podcast, I'm going to be discussing why this property payment plan comes with interest, right? Yeah, so you have to choose for yourself. If I'm buying this property, can I pay for it cash down or should I go with a payment plan? Yes, I'm going to be paying X amount of interest, but then it is convenient for me if I'm doing, payment plan, right? Now, what's the cons? What's the disadvantage of paying small, small? For paying small, small, property ownership becomes a kind of a first come, first serve. So you only get allocated when you have completely made your payment, right? Now, for some developers, you could get the advantage of a reservation of payment up to 50% or 80%. So if you pay up to 50% or 80%, you could get a reservation for that deal, whether it is a land, whether it is a house, right? So you just want to consider payment plan while you're giving thoughts to buying your first home or you're giving thoughts to buying your first property. Now watch out for the next on our guide on how to buy property right. Number 5 on my list is due diligence. Yes, it's intentional to make due diligence number 5, but I must tell you, due diligence should be your number 1, right? Due diligence, yes, if you see a property, but then you cannot conduct due diligence if you've not seen a property of your choice. Okay, so you have to see a property that is, of interest to you, that ticks the box of location, that ticks the box of payment plan, that ticks every other boxes. Okay, so you could have due diligence come in between your last lap to finalizing the deal. Now, what does due diligence do for you? It helps to process or to make research on the how genuine the property is. Okay, the legitimacy of the owner, the developer. What's the claim of the developer to this property, right? You don't just want to pay for a property that is not rightfully owned to the vendor who is selling to you, right? And that is why a property lawyer comes in. Yes, I always advise clients to, get a property lawyer. Yes, they are lawyers that are heavily invested in property business. So they understand the pros and cons. They understand the things that goes around property and litigations, right? Then the legal aspect in terms of the right documents to ask for, especially in Lagos. There are lots of layers. There are layers to property due diligence process. So a property lawyer is already one who is conversant with this process. They understand the paper. They understand situations where the property could be legitimately owned by a developer, but still needs certain perfection with government. Needs certain perfection with family, with your monies or the landowners, and all of that. So a property lawyer will do justice to that. Now, if you're also working with a realtor who is a professional, who is an expert in the business, they come with a service of providing, legal advisory. They have their legal team that can also help you in that. But you can get yourself a property lawyer who does the due diligence, to back reasons why you should either buy the property or check it off your list. Okay. So see you on the next number 6 on my list of what you need to consider to buy your first property or whatever the number is. The going rates and the deliverables. Yes, you have seen a property of choice, right? Then you need to do your investigation. What is the going rate in the location where this property is situated? Yes, I'm seeing an off-plan deal or a finished deal for 50 million naira. Yes, could you also, conduct this kind of investigation, like, oh, that property that is close by this area, how much is it going for? What's the going rate, right? Now, a lot of times I see people who say, "Oh, when I check for this property around where I'm buying this choice property or the property of interest, I discover that it is higher or it is lesser than this." Now, one of the comparisons you have to look at for is deliverables. Okay, for developers, when you come to a particular market or area or location, they tend to do better than what is already on ground, right? Yes, so you could have a duplex that is going for 50 million naira in your location of interest, and then the property you're trying to buy, the same duplex, going for 70 or 80 million naira. Now, what could be the difference? The deliverables. Probably the existing properties don't have facilities or infrastructures like maybe a swimming pool, okay, or a service estate facility, are probably not located inside the service estate and enjoys the perks of a service estate. Okay, probably it doesn't have a sit house like where you have a penthouse and then a terrace at the top, rooftop, and all that. So there are deliverables you need to also look at. So you have to look at the deliverables of what you already have for properties in that location and what your developer is selling to you. Now, you should also consider the cost of building then and now. The finishing too will go a long way to determine what your property of interest will be going for. But it's important to check out for properties around your location what their going rates are. Yes, it will also help you to understand what the value of property is within that area. So plus or minus, you should be able to balance that within yourself and then the deal that you're making. So it's important to look at the deliverables. The new property you're buying could have more deliverables than the properties within that axis. You can also check out for new projects too coming up and see what is being offered here and there and all that. So deliverables may go, a long way to differentiate what your pricing value, what you're getting as pricing for your property of interest, and what the other properties in the neighborhood will be going for. Okay, so the next one. Don't forget, we're talking about a guide to buying a property in today's market, right? And this is number 7, agent realtor. Yes, agent realtor. Yes, I've seen a lot of people who say, "Oh, why should I need an agent, or why should I deal with an agent or a realtor when I could just, get a property from a developer?" Now, a realtor or an agent is still a professional, career path in the real estate space. A lot of us know that for sure. In any part of the world, you have brokers, you have property brokers, people who stand as a middleman, okay, a third party, links up the buyer to the seller. There are responsibilities that come with that. Yes, if you can handle the processes yourself, fine and good. But if you really want a third party that will help you manage the process well, professionally, then you also need a realtor to come in. Okay. I'm not going to be talking about the difference between agent and realtor today. It's going to be a conversation for another day. But if you're dealing with a realtor, if you are dealing with a realtor is seen to be, somebody who is a consultant and then a salesperson. Okay, so they have lots of product knowledge and all of that. In fact, today the word is interchanged. The difference is just a level of information. You could have an agent who, is well informed. The nomenclature don't really matter. What matters is the level of exposure in the business, the level of competence, the level of excellence that the broker have. In general, they are brokers. Okay. In general, you need a broker to help broker the deal, to help you through the process, to help you do the groundwork. A realtor knows what is going on ground. Okay, that they know what is up. So when you're dealing with a realtor, you get the full gist, the front gist and the back gist. They also work as a liaison person between you and the developer. Okay, so they could also go as far as doing their own due diligence because they have a responsibility for themselves and for their career. So if you're dealing with a realtor, it's really advisable. Yes, I can say that I've seen the benefit of of investors having realtors. Now, for the fact that I have that background, I can tell you for a fact that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Realtors help to identify where you have good deals, right? They also help to identify what going rates are. They also help to verify, deliverables from the developer. They also go as far as holding the developers responsible for so many other things, behind the scene that the buyer or you will not have to see because you're busy with your own job and your own business. So you can't see it all, you can't know it all. You need a third party that will professionally help you harmonize the transaction and make sure you're getting a good deal. So you need a professional realtor, you need an expert realtor, you need a realtor that has the experience, that has the courage, the tenacity to fight for your interests. So if you do find one, respect them, treat them well, pay them their commission, pay them their brokerage fee. Yes, and you'll get your deals good, right? Okay, so let's talk about the next to consider. Number 8 on the list, facility connection. Facility connection. Now, this is where a lot of people get to do the fighting, right? You probably bought a house and then you have issues around how to get yourself connected to light and water. Before you buy that property, you have to ask. Okay, especially if it's a property you're moving into, probably by the end of the year, you need to ask, find out from the vendor if there are responsibilities that you will need to meet up with. Okay, so that you start preparing yourself, or if they'll be taking care of that part. Yes, if you're buying a property in an estate, for estate, they make sure that they bring in the facilities. They set up the overhead tank or the water reservoir, and then they set up the connection pipes, underground or surface, and then they connect you to those facilities, right? If you're living or buying a standalone property, you also have to find out how you're going to get yourself water, how you're going to get yourself electricity. So it's a very important question you need to ask your vendor, okay, your developer or your builder. How are you going to be getting this connectivity? Connectivity to light, which is very essential, connectivity to water. Now, some developers will tell you upfront that you are solely responsible for your water connection and for your light. So what that means is you probably have to sink a borehole or get your water reservoir and then buy water from outside via tankers, water tankers. Then you have to get yourself your light, probably pay to be connected to the street transformer or the estate, electricity line and all of that. So it's important to understand that part before you buy that property. How are you going to be getting the connection? Where are you getting the connection from? Is it from a street? Is it in an estate? Are you going to be bringing your own lights? Okay, or possibly are you going to be buying your own transformer? So you don't want to buy a property in a place where you're the only person there. There are no connection for light, and then you have to bring in your own transformer. You need to have that conversation. You need to have all of those thoughts. Okay, what is your responsibility to connection? What is the developer's responsibility to connection? Okay, so you don't want to fight at the end of having that beautiful home handed over to you, and then you're looking at how do I get light into this house, how do I get water into this house. So you want to sort that out on your list before you buy that property. So next, a guide to buying your first home into this market. Number 9, interior decoration and furnishing, right? Yes, you've had that conversation on the form work, on the structural work, what the location, documentation, and all of that. Now, what about the interior? Okay, what type of home are you buying? Are you buying a home? Are you paying for a home that is fully finished? Okay, there's fully finished and not furnished, and there's fully finished and furnished. There's also unfinished, right? Yes, unfinished. You need to consider this or pay attention to these three things. There are people who sell unfinished homes, okay, or semi-finished. Semi-finished is the right word. So what that means is if you're paying for a home, okay, you need to find out how finished it will come, right? What are you paying? The payment is in what context? Is it for just the formwork, the structure, the exterior? Okay. Does it also include the interior work? So when we say the interior decoration, you're talking about the interior work, the furnishing. What are you paying for? What is the end point or the end product of what you're paying for as a home? So you need to cross these box with your developer. Is it coming as semi-finished? Yes, there are lots of development that are semi-finished. So what it means is that they stop at the carcass level, and even in the semi-finished, they have levels to semi-finished. Yeah, semi-finished that could just be carcass level. Okay, they build the structure, and then you get to do the exterior finishing and the interior finishing. Now, some they do the structure, the exterior finishing, and they leave the interior for you. Okay, there are even options for some developers who build estates. Okay, you could select yourself that you just want them to deliver as semi-finished, and this is the level of semi-finish you want, and you can take care of, the tiling, the pop, the plastering inside, the toiletries, the plumbing, and all of that. So there's a level to semi-finish, and you need to have those conversations, right? Now, if it's going to be finished, when we say a house will come fully finished, it means that the pop work will be done, the exterior work, plastering will be done, the painting will be done, the plumbing will be done, the wiring will be done, the water connection will be done, the WCs will be done. Yes, have I mentioned tiling? Tiling will be done in all the rooms, everywhere, right? The masking and all of that, okay? The electrical fittings will be installed, of course, not AC, right? Yes, the wires, you could have the outlet for your AC connection, or you could have your lights, your POP lightings, your kitchen lightings, the switches, the connections, the water tap, all installed. Your vents, okay, your heaters. Now, some projects go as far as giving you a finished kitchen, right? A kitchen set where you have the furniture work on the kitchen, you have an eye, okay, like an island, in the kitchen. You have your cupboard, you have your furniture around the deep freezer, the refrigerator, your microwave, your oven. Some development or projects come fully finished with a finished kitchen, while some projects may not come with a fully finished kitchen, right? Or furnished kitchen. So you need to check out for all of that. Now there are houses that comes as fully finished and furnished. So what it means is when you have the elements of the finished product, it also comes furnished with furniture. You have your sofa, you have your TV console, you have your TV installed, you have ACs installed, your dining, your center rug, your room rug, your chairs in different positions, your coffee table, your center table, name them, right? Okay, so these are languages that you have to pay attention to. So how finished is the property coming? If I'm paying 100 million for this property, what and what will come with that? Okay, is it coming as semi-finished? You need to ask that question. Is it coming as fully finished but not furnished kitchen? Is it coming as fully finished but with furnished kitchen? Okay, and what kind of materials will be used internally? Yeah, so I see beautiful houses. There are lots of beautiful houses here in Lagos, but when you go in there, you see some crappy interior works, right? Okay, that is because it takes a lot to really put up a building project, and probably at the interior work, the developer is feeling tired from these expenses and the budget and all of that, and then it's trying to stretch and manage all of them. So you need to know where you can come in, where you can support, where you can make certain amendments. I've seen people who buy a house and then they'll start to remove the fittings and make their own fittings, right? So some developers go as far as saying, you know what, we're just going to use basic finishing materials. We're not going to use quality, because at the end of the day, we see people who come in and then they remove all the tiles, they remove all the fittings, the POP, and they are doing their own stuff, right? So you need to have that agreement of what will be delivered to you in terms of interior decoration, in terms of the furnishing, in terms of the finished status of the house. Very important conversations. So I believe in this round of the podcast or conversation, you now know what to look out for. You now understand the 9 major or basic considerations to look out for while planning to buy your dream home in today's market. We're talking about what is trending in the real estate market here in Lagos, here in Nigeria, and every other hotspots all over the world. So I believe these conversations will help you, yes, in your preparations or your plans to buy yourself your first home, your second home, or your choice property. Okay, so see you on our next podcast. This is Solomon Evarist, and I'm always available to help you through your real estate investment journey. Thank you, and God bless you. If you enjoyed this conversation, if you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to our channel, like, share, let your friends know about this conversation, let your friends know about this podcast. This is the Real Estate Talk with Solomon Evarist. I'll see you on our next podcast. Bye.